Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on two detectors you hear a lot about, the Nokta Legend and the Minelab Equinox 900.
Yeah, two heavy hitters in that premium category.
Exactly. And if you're thinking about maybe upgrading, stepping up your game, one of the biggest questions is always going to be, well, how deep does it actually go?
It's a huge factor, definitely.
So over the last month or so, I've been putting both of these through their paces. Did some testing in a controlled detection garden.
Ah, the garden test. Good for consistency.
Right. And our mission here for this deep dive is really to cut past the hype, you know, and pull out the important stuff about their depth performance.
So you can get a real feel for which one might click better for you and how you hunt.
Yeah, exactly.
What's interesting, though, right from the start, is that even though they're both aiming for deep targets, the way they achieve it feels, well, kind of different. Based on your tests, anyway.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, both are packed with tech. The Legend, the Equinox 900. But the testing really highlights how they behave straight out of the box.
And how much you need to get involved, you know, tweaking settings to really max out that depth.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's talk about how I actually tested them. It was, like I said, a controlled garden setup.
Okay.
And I didn't want to make it easy. I used some deliberately tough targets. We're talking a mercury dime buried 10 inches deep.
10 inches for a merc, that's pushing it.
Yeah. And also very small gold targets, different depths. These aren't surface finds, you know. They really make the detector work.
Right. Using those tough targets in a controlled space lets you compare sensitivity more directly, doesn't it?
Exactly. Takes away some of the randomness you get out in the field.
Like moves some variables. Makes sense.
So let's kick off with the Minelab Equinox 900. My first go, using the default Park 1 setting. Wasn't quite the instant wow I was maybe expecting.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, the signals felt a bit chirpy, you know. And those deep targets, the merc and the gold, just weren't coming through super clear.
That kind of jumpiness, sometimes that suggests it's processing a lot, maybe ground noise, but not quite locking on to that faint, deep signal.
Oh, could be.
Maybe Park 1 default is more of an all-rounder setting, not purely focused on depth in cleaner ground.
That's what I started thinking. But then, here's where it got really interesting. I switched the Equinox 900 over to Park 2 mode.
Okay.
And bam, it was like a completely different detector. Seriously.
Wow.
Suddenly that 10-inch merc dime, loud, clear signal, those little gold targets, strong, repeatable hits.
Just from switching to Park 2? No other adjustments?
None. Didn't touch anything else. And that, for me, was the big takeaway. If you want to just power up and go after deeper stuff, Park 2 on the Equinox seems, well, built for it.
That really speaks volumes about how Minelab optimized that specific mode right from the factory, doesn't it?
It seems like it.
Suggests they really tuned Park 2 for sensitivity on those deeper, maybe smaller targets, probably assuming more moderate ground conditions, perhaps.
Right.
It makes the whole process really streamlined, you know? You get that success pretty much immediately without needing a manual.
And I'm guessing a big part of that is their multi-IQ plus tech.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, that's processing multiple frequencies at once, as I understand it.
Exactly. Multi-IQ plus SAY or any good simultaneous multi-frequency system is like running several specialist detectors at the same time.
Okay.
So different frequencies are better for different target sizes, different depth, and they react differently to mineralization in the ground.
Right. I follow.
Multi-IQ Plus aims to give you a much more stable, consistent target ID across all sorts of ground conditions and for a wider range of targets. The goal is reliable depth and ID without you needing to constantly fiddle with frequency or ground balance.
So it's about making it work well in more places, more easily.
Pretty much. Reliable performance across diverse environments.
Okay. So wrapping up the Equinox 900 first look, its big strength seems to be that immediate, really good depth you get in Park 2, right out of the box.
Yeah, minimal fuss required for deep targets in that mode.
Feels like it's designed to get you finding those deep ones fast.
That's a fair summary. It leans towards user-friendliness and effective presets for depth.
Now let's shift over to the Nokta Legend. Your experience there sounds like it started quite differently.
Oh, completely different story initially. First go with the Legend, using its factory default M1 Park setting. Honestly, I started to wonder if I'd even buried the targets right.
Uh-oh. That bad?
Yeah, that 10-inch merc was barely a whisper. Like the faintest little peep. And the gold targets. Might as well have been invisible.
That really does highlight a different approach in the default setup, doesn't it?
Seems like it.
Suggests M1 Park on the Legend, probably its general purpose mode, might be set more conservatively out of the box, maybe prioritizing stability or separation in trashy park settings over just raw depth. Could be. But just like the Equinox, there was a turning point. It just took, well, more work to find it, more experimenting.
Okay, so what was the breakthrough?
It really happened when I switched it over to Multi-2 mode, which I guess uses a different mix of frequencies than M1.
Likely emphasizes frequencies differently, perhaps better suited for maximizing depth, maybe in tougher ground, yeah.
And this was key. I dropped the recovery speed way down to level 2.
Our recovery speed, that makes a big difference.
Huge. Suddenly those deep targets started showing up. They were detectable.
Yeah, slowing down the recovery speed gives the detector more processing time for each target signal. Lets it listen more carefully for those really faint, deep whispers.
Makes sense.
But there's usually a trade-off, right?
Oh, absolutely. Slowing it down meant I was definitely sacrificing some target separation. You know, its ability to pick out good targets near junk.
Right, so if you're in an area thick with nails and bottle caps, that super slow recovery might actually mask good finds.
Exactly. But for this specific test, just hunting isolated deep targets in relatively clean ground, slowing it down was the ticket. It worked.
And this whole process really highlights the Legend's design philosophy, doesn't it? It seems built to give you, the user, a lot more control over how it operates.
Definitely.
It empowers you to really fine-tune its behavior for the specific conditions you're facing, if you're willing to learn how.
And that really feels like the Legend's core strength. The sheer customizability. You can tweak so many things, iron filtering, stability settings. It gives you incredible control.
Which is great if you enjoy that.
Yeah, I definitely spent more time digging through menus than I expected, but each adjustment did seem to make a noticeable difference. You could feel the change.
That kind of adjustability really appeals to detectorists who like getting hands-on, you know? People who enjoy really understanding their machine to squeeze out every last bit of performance for their specific ground, their specific targets.
Right. Just for the tweaker, maybe?
Could be, yeah. And something else you mentioned about Nokta, their firmware updates and listening to users.
Yeah, that's worth highlighting. I've seen examples online, people sharing test videos, giving feedback, and then you actually see Nokta implement changes based on that feedback in later software updates. That feels, well, pretty significant.
That responsiveness is a huge plus. It shows a commitment to refining the machine based on real-world use, which could mean its potential keeps growing over time.
Definitely. So, okay, let's try and bring this all together. What does it mean for you listening, trying to maybe choose between them?
Well,
It seems like the Equinox 900 is a fantastic choice if you value that immediate power-on-and-go depth performance.
right. Select Park 2, and you've got a really good shot at hitting deep targets without needing to become a settings expert first.
Yeah, high confidence right away.
Whereas the Legend seems like a better fit for the detectorist who really enjoys, maybe even needs, that deep level of control.
The person who likes to tinker and fine-tune.
Exactly. Someone willing to invest the time to learn it inside and out and tailor it perfectly for specific conditions. It rewards that effort and understanding.
So it's not really that one is just flat out better at depth than the other.
Doesn't sound like it from your testing.
It's more about how they get you there. The path is different, you know.
Completely different approaches.
Both are clearly capable of hitting impressive depths, but yeah, the philosophy feels distinct. It comes down to your preferred style, maybe.
I think so. Do you want to spend more time just hunting, trusting the presets? Or do you enjoy the process of adjusting settings to optimize for this specific patch of ground, this type of target?
Equinox for the first, maybe Legend for the second.
That seems like a reasonable way to frame it based on this depth testing, yeah? If you prioritize that immediate effectiveness for deep searching, the Equinox 900 delivers that readily in Park 2.
Okay.
If you prefer the challenge and reward of mastering a highly customizable tool, tailoring it precisely, the Legend offers that depth control.
But bottom line, both are serious contenders, if depth is your main goal.
Absolutely. Both seem very capable for serious depth hunting.
Right. So just to wrap up this part, our main focus here was depth performance. And yeah, based on the testing, both the Legend and the Equinox 900 are strong performers, just in their own ways. But it's really important for you to remember, depth is only one part of the picture, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Crucial point. Depth is sexy. Everyone wants it, but it's not everything.
What else should people be thinking about?
Well, things like target separation. How well does it pick out a good target next to junk? Target ID accuracy. How reliable is that number on the screen in different soils? Ergonomics, weight, balance, how it feels after swinging it for 5 hours.
Yeah, user interface too.
Mm,
How easy is it to navigate the menus when you do want to change something?
exactly. All those things contribute massively to your overall success and, just as importantly, your enjoyment out in the field. Depth matters, but you need the whole package.
So maybe here's a final thought for you to mull over. Whichever way you might lean, Equinox or Legend, there's a real satisfaction, isn't there? Knowing your machine can reach those deeper targets when they happen to be there.
That confidence in your gear is definitely a big part of the mental game in detecting.
Yeah.
Which maybe brings up a good question for you, the listener, to consider. What's most important to you? Is it that immediate switch on and find deep stuff ease? Or is it having that ultimate control, the ability to fine-tune for absolutely any situation, even if it takes more effort?
Your answer there probably points you towards the right machine for your style.
I think it does.
Definitely. And hey, if you've used either of these, the Legend or the Equinox 900, we'd love to hear about your experiences. Feel free to share your thoughts.
Yeah, always good to hear different perspectives.